Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 145. Today I'm going to talk about Meuterer or something like that. It's basically Mutineer in German. A little funny story, this is a gift from my Secret Santa. But I've actually played this several times. My friend had it. And I don't get to play games with him very much anymore. But so I thought I'd do a review of this. And hopefully take it to my group and we can play it some more. They also sent me Meuterer, which I think is Traitor. I haven't played this yet, so hopefully I'll get a chance to play this and do a review. And just so while we're talking about it, he sent me some game I've never heard of before. So today I'm going to talk about this. It's sort of a pirate-themed card game. And Meuterer is actually sort of the predecessor to Citadels, which is kind of the predecessor to Puerto Rico and San Juan and Race for the Galaxy. They have role selection cards in them. So I believe these were like the first, very first games to do that. Like I said, this is a pirate-themed game. You're basically going to be sailing around in this sort of area in the sea, going to different islands, trying to transport goods with a merchant ship. And with this game, there's actually a variant, which I do recommend playing with, and I'll discuss it here, that adds a pirate ship to it. And so everybody's going to be sort of trying to sell goods at the most opportune time, but also sometimes trying to mutiny against the captain and take over the ship and get more victory points that way. And the captain's going to try to sort of bribe people in a way to help them retain control of the ship, and as you sail around, and kind of pick which islands you're going to go to and things like that. So let's take a look at how it works, and I'll come back and tell you what I think. Okay, so here you can see I've got the game set up. There's 12 islands here, and you just kind of randomly shuffle them and then deal them out in a circle. You're going to take the Hockland Island here, and you can see this is on the active side because it's got sort of the lighter border, and the other side it's darker. So we take that there, we put the merchant ship here on that island. That's where it currently always starts the game. Then you're going to randomly determine who the captain is, who the start player is. You're going to give them these two captain cards here. And the key information on these cards is this little number at the top. So you can see you've got 1, 0, 2, and 3 on this side here. So before you do anything in the round, the captain's going to decide how many victory points he's willing to offer up to somebody that will help him against a possible mutiny. So if he were to say, okay, I'm going to put this face up, basically I'm offering 0 points. I'm pretty confident in my abilities to retain control of the ship, but if you feel a little bit shaky, like you could put this one up in front and say, okay, I'm offering 2 points to anybody that's going to basically be the first mate and help me out. And then players are going to draw 5 cards off of this sort of goods deck here. And this is a very small deck of cards. You're going to go through that several times. And you're going to get 5 cards, and you get different possible goods like so. So you can see I've got basically 3 wine barrels, and then also got a little bit of corn here. I've also got a conflict card, and this is a sword. So there's several different types of goods, and then you can also get conflict cards, and possibly even the pirate card. And I'll talk about the pirates towards the end of the video. So basically what you're going to do on your turn is you're basically going to play a card in front of you, or you're going to pass and take one of the rolls in the middle. Now these rolls here are going to be face down. So when you pass and take one of the rolls, you'll look at one of these, keep it, put these back face down, so nobody's going to know necessarily what roll was taken. Now the next person to pass will know because it's the one that wasn't in there. But after a couple of people have passed, you know, you're not going to know exactly who has what rolls. And the captain is never going to take a roll. When he passes, we're going to decide how far along this circle the ship is going to travel. So the way that you determine that is you're going to look at the number of cards left in the captain's hand. So when he passes, he could even just pass to start the game, and so he's going to have 5 cards in his hand, so you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to take and mark that destination with this destination card there, and so you say, that's where we're going next. But if he had played some cards, perhaps he had played these 3 wine barrels over separate turns, so he played 1, 2, 3, and then finally passed. He's going to have 2 cards left, so we're going to count 1, 2, and then he's going to show that that is the next destination that the ship will go to next. Now let's zoom in a little bit on these island cards here and see what the information tells us about what's going to happen. So you can see here we've got 1 active island here. And basically what this tells us here is this will accept any kind of good, and the person that gives us the most of a good is going to get 4 points. Second most is 3, third most is 2. Now right now this is the only active island, but thankfully this one always starts off and it will take any kind of good. So if this were to be one of the active islands, you can see this only will take rubies. Whoever gives the most rubies will get 2, second 1, and third 0. So after everybody's passed, we're going to take a look at the goods that everybody has played in front of them, and then we're going to figure out who has the most. So if somebody had 3 barrels and nobody else had more of any certain good, because it didn't really matter what the type is in this case, then the first place player would get 4 points. You have to keep track, you know, on a separate score sheet or something like that. So after resolving who gets the points for the goods, if there's no mutiny, we're just going to move the ship to the target island. So we'll take and move it here. Now this one will become the active island like so. And now we have 2 active islands. So basically whatever the island was that you just left and the island that you just arrived to will be active for the following round. Now the captain is going to get 5 victory points for hitting that island. So that's a pretty good chunk of points there. However, there could have been a mutiny, and there's going to be lots of mutinies in the game, and the captain may even have had a first mate help him out. So let's talk a little bit about how the mutiny part of it works. Now the mutinies are going to be determined by the roles that people take. So again, you can play a card or you can pass and take a roll. Now when you take a roll, let's take a look at what the rolls do here. There's a few different types of rolls here. Now let's look at the simple one here that has nothing to do with the mutiny. If you take this, you're going to be able to draw 3 more cards at the end of the turn. So always you're going to draw up to 5 cards. And if you take the Loadmaster here, you're going to draw basically 8 cards and get rid of 3 down to 5. So it gives you a little bit more choice and a little bit more planning to see what the upcoming islands are, what goods are going to be good. The next card that doesn't have anything to do with mutinies is this merchant card here. And basically what this will do is let you break ties. So if you're tied for the most, let's say you and another player had 3 rubies, then you would break the tie and you would immediately get first. Now normally if there's a tie, you don't both get the first place point, you both would drop down and get the next lowest amount of victory points. Next we've got the first mate here. And if you look at this first mate, there's a couple pieces of information here. So you can see he's got a sword, so he's going to contribute a sword to defense of a mutiny if there is a mutiny. Now if there is a mutiny that's been defended against, it's failed, or if there's no mutiny at all, he's always going to get 1 point plus whatever the captain offered. So remember the captain had a choice of 0, 1, 2, or 3, and so even if there's no mutiny, then the first mate is going to get that. Now these last two cards here are basically the mutiny cards. The first card here is the Mutineer, and if he takes this, he's basically trying to take over the ship. Now when he takes this, and then everybody will reveal their roles at the end of the round after everybody's passed, you're going to look and see how many cards they had left in their hands, and then you're going to figure out maybe a new destination. So if we back this up here, like so, let's say the Mutineer had 3 cards left in their hand, so you go to 1, 2, 3, and instead of going to this island, the Mutineer wants to go to this island, so you've got this card to mark that. Now perhaps he just wanted to get the victory points for hitting the island, or he had a lot of these little sugars here that he wanted to trade later, so he really wants to go there. So he'll go there, and basically we'll be fighting not only for who's going to be the captain of the ship, but also which island we're going to go to. And then the next card here is the cabin boy. And he's basically going to be able to play cards to help the Mutineer defeat the captain. And if the mutiny is successful, this guy's always just going to get 2 points flat, no matter what. If the mutiny is successful, the Mutineer is going to get this number of victory points for the target island that they decided to go to. Now the mutiny is going to be decided by these conflict cards. And remember, on your turn, you can play a goods card or basically pass and take a roll. Well, in addition to playing a good that you could try to sell and get victory points for it, you can also just put a sword in front of you. Now, if you end up not being involved in the mutiny, let's say you took a merchant card or something, then these won't matter. But if you're the captain, the first mate, or the Mutineer, the cabin boy, then you're going to take into account the number of swords that you have in front of you. But you're still going to have cards in your hand. So starting with the captain, we're going to go around, and anybody that's involved in the mutiny can start laying down conflict cards. And so remember that the first mate already is contributing 1 sword to the battle. So he kind of has a sword played in front of him. And you're going to add up all the swords played by the captain, all the swords, plus this default sword from the first mate, and compare it with the swords played by these 2 players. Whoever has the most is going to win. In the case of a tie, it's going to go to the Mutineer and the cabin boy, and they're going to win. Now let's talk about the pirate variant, which makes the game really interesting. So the pirate ship here is always going to start off at Pirate's Nest here. So the pirate will start there, and then inside this goods deck is a pirate card. And anytime a player plays a pirate card, instead of playing a good card, so on your turn when you're playing cards, you can play a pirate card. and then you check and see how many cards you have left in your hand. And then the pirate ship's actually going to sail counterclockwise. Remember, the merchant ship's always going to go clockwise around this way, and the pirate will go counterclockwise. Now, if the pirate ship basically moves to the spot where the merchant ship is, or basically moves through it, then we're going to remove all the cards here that people have played, and they're going to go to the discard pile. So it's going to wipe out everybody's chances of victory points. On the other hand, if the pirate ship were here, and then, you know, like during the end of the round, this moves through or on the ship, nothing's going to happen. It's basically going to sail by it. The pirate ship has to move into or through when you play that pirate card. That's pretty much the game. You just sail around, and then if you want to play with the pirate, you don't have to play with it. Maybe play the first couple times without it, and then, you know, once everybody kind of has the feel for the game, then you can kind of spice it up with the pirate ship. Okay, hope you enjoyed the overview. I can't say enough about this one. You know, we had a lot of fun with this a couple months ago, and we've been, you know, we played it quite a bit, kind of played it to death, and it's definitely one that I'll keep around and play again. It's a very light, compact game, but the theme really comes across. You've got sort of the backstabbing, the hidden role selection. You know, the mutinies are really fun. You can kind of do a lot of calculation and gauge the bluffing of the players, and, you know, try to figure out what their intentions are. Are they trying to score a lot of points with goods? Or are they trying to mutiny the ship and get it to a certain island, or just get a lot of points based on the different island that you're going to go to? Because not every island is worth the same number of points. There's basically 2 different islands for each of the different types of goods. One's really good and one's not so good. So there's sort of some, you know, balancing and trying to read and see what people are going to do there. The pirate ship's really cool. It adds a little bit of chaos to the game. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend playing with it right off the bat, but it does add some nice tension, especially if, you know, both ships start sort of across the sea on different sides of the circle. You don't really have to worry, but then as they get closer, it becomes a little bit more tense, and you've got to really be careful, you know, about, you know, shooting your wad, so to speak, in goods, and then getting it all jacked from you if the pirate ship is really close. So yeah, it's just really fun, definitely thematic, and definitely interesting to sort of the mutiny aspect of it, where, you know, somebody's going to get really rich after a little bit in victory points, and so the other players will physically, you know, mutiny against that player in the game sense, and also in sort of the metagame, you know, person-to-person sense, where it's like, okay, you know, let's mutiny him because he keeps, you know, landing on all these hot islands and getting bunches of points, and then also getting the points from the goods. So we need to take the ship over. We need to get rich. So it really fits that way, and it's just very fun. And it's a light, compact game, and really packs a lot of nice theme into such a short game. So yeah, you should be able to get a hold of this one relatively easily. I think you can get it new in Europe and places in Germany specifically. But I've seen it on the Geek for just a few bucks. So I think it's possible, if you have interest in this game, I would definitely recommend pick it up. I mean, it's been around since like 2000, and then the previous incarnation, Meuterer here, which is the trader, I believe is a very, very similar game. I haven't played this yet, so we'll see about that one. But it's still being printed, so there's a reason that it's being printed, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you like Citadels or anything like that. I like this much better than Citadel's Arms. I mean, this is one of my favorite games, but I really like this game, especially for what it is, and specifically for the role selection aspect of it. I really feel like the role selection here was not just like a mechanic that was thrown in there. It was really like, okay, let's do mutiny, and, you know, you can be a mutineer one day, and then a month later, you know, when you're on this island, you really want to, you know, get it from the other guy and stuff. So it really kind of fits. Everything really fits well together. So anyway, check it out. Thanks.